Every Wednesday, Tobago Talks, and when Tobago Talk, we listen. That's why we welcome this morning. Great to have her yet again, the Health, Wellness, and Social Protection Secretary in the Tİ, Dr. Faith B. Israel. Dr. Faith, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. I like that tagline, you know, when Tobago talks, we listen. I like that. I really like that.
Of course, listen, because, I mean, it's an important conversation, and even more so based on what we're seeing with some of the numbers. We're looking at the current active infections on the island, at least the official number. It could be probably more, but it now stands at 425. And I'm sure, Dr. Faith, you would have been concerned with the footage and the scenes coming out of Tobago over the weekend. I mean, the party looked like it was a fun time for everyone, but, you know, these events could have sometimes consequences. What say you when you saw that particular footage, and how does that correlate to the current situation in Tobago?
So I think what we're saying is that everybody's fed up. Everybody fed up. We are now, 2 years into this, and everybody wants to release. So when you hear, when you see stuff like that, it's really because people are showing that they're fed up and they want to do something else. I have to remind us, though, that, you know, all of our actions have consequences, every single one of them. It actually broke my heart when I saw what was happening. I mean, I understand why people are doing what they're doing, but we have to remind everyone that there are consequences to our action, consequences, and we have to be willing to live with the consequences. After we've had the good time, after we've had the lamb and jam, after we've had the ramage, we still have to live with the consequences, and it is just part of the process. You know, the thing about this infection, and the thing about this virus in particular, is that it is one of those, it's actually a little bit more dangerous, because when you get sick, so many of us get sick, get better, and don't die. Say if it was one of those where if you get sick, you know you're going on dead kind of story, or once where you have a very, very high case fatality rate, like Ebola and those things where it was a 50% of the people who got it died in the early stages, then we would be a little bit more concerned. But because this virus is one where, you know, a lot of people survive, a lot of people get it, a lot of people are not severely ill, it is causing us to not think critically about what really is happening and the rates of death that can happen if you get infected. And unfortunately, we have to live with the consequences of that. And the consequences are you, your family member, maybe not you, but your granny or your auntie may get really, really sick and may end up dying from this. That's a consequence. Yeah, you have to live with that.
That's the reality. Now, Dr. Faith, when we look at the Trinidad numbers, continuously going down, we're looking at the hospitalizations. Numbers are dwindling, at least from the official reports via the Ministry of Health. What's the current situation in Tobago with the numbers? Is it also on decline?
Yes, the same thing is happening in Tobago. It's important to know that we're seeing a little spike going up. It is now 2 weeks after Carnival. So let us see what that brings. So we are seeing it going up. Remember what we've always said about this is that COVID-19 infections happen in waves. So it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. That is a normal part of how infections happen. Last year, this time, and I want us to be very, very clear, last year, this time, we were also at a kind of down wave. We thought everything was fine, and then boom, later down in the year. As a matter of fact, when I came into and became Secretary of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, it was during the deadliest month in Tobago. So last year, this time, we were down wave. We thought everything was fine. We thought we were out of the woods, and then bam, Delta happened. What we've been seeing now is Omicron is here. Omicron, thank God, has actually been a milder infection. So even though we have people getting infected, they have milder infections, and that is one.
And do you feel, Dr. Faith, and I don't want to disrupt you there, but I'm just thinking, do you think that's what's causing people to have this false sense of security, hence the reason we're seeing people just risking it all at this point, risking it for the biscuit? Obviously, we're seeing people just, you know, well, it's Omicron, you know, yeah, we could get it, but apparently we mightn't die. So we're seeing folks... out and about.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And that is why the numbers, the official numbers, are so low as well. Because I am sure that there are many, many, many more people who actually have it. But because their symptoms are so mild or probably asymptomatic, they probably didn't really feel anything. They never went and got tested. So that's why our numbers are low. And, you know, that in itself is fine. I am thankful that Omicron is not as deadly as Delta. As the secretary responsible for health, I am thanking God every day that Omicron is not as deadly as Delta. But I also have to remind myself and to not let up, to not let this level, this downward spike, this downward trajectory cause me or cause my health professionals to think that we are out of the woods. We have to still prepare because we do not know what a month from now is going to bring. We are seeing in some areas in China where they've had some of the highest rates since the beginning of this in 2020, and they are locking down different areas.
There's a spike right now in South Korea. I reported that this morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because of that, we have to continually be careful and not be too complacent about where we are and not just give up. We are not at the end yet. We have another year or two of this, treating with this. It is going to be with us for some time. We're not at the end yet. Well, and we still have higher rates of death due to COVID than just regular normal other infections.
Interesting, Dr. Faith, you put that timeline on it, because my next question was going to be, at what point do we move to an endemic? And if you could explain to the audience, in layman's terms, the transition from pandemic to endemic.
So I would give three definitions. I would start with the term epidemic. An epidemic means we have higher cases of whatever the infection was. So you had 0 COVID in 2019. In 2020, we had 10 cases, now 20, it's now 1,000 cases. That is an epidemic. You have more cases than what you normally have. When you have an epidemic happening throughout the world, that is where we use the word pandemic. So we have an epidemic in every country or in every region of the world. The WHO then declared that we had a pandemic. That is the definition of the word pandemic. Where we are now, or where we are heading now, is what we term an endemic. And I know it is probably given a false sense. You hear the word end and you think, yes, it's ending, but no. The word endemic actually means that we have a high but steady rate of infection. High but steady. And that is the part we need to be conscious of. High but steady. And even within the high but steady areas, there may still be spikes. There may still be a month or so when we shoot up and go wild again and come back down to high but steady. We have to remember that high but steady means that people are still sick. People are still getting sick. And for many of those people, they will still get very, very sick, severely ill, and would still die. We still have deaths from COVID-19 right now. So as much as people are thinking that, you know, it's an endemic, meaning it probably coming to an end, that's not where we are. It means that it's actually with us, and we have to now figure out how to live with it, how to protect ourselves from it, and how to protect our families.
Dr. Faith, thanks there for the explanation. Really amazing how you broke it down in 3 parts. Now, you know, Tobago is a place where Trinidadians, they will take the boat or go to Piaco, take the 50-minute flight, they go across to Frolic, guest house, beach house, people having a time over the weekend. It's a place also where brothers and sisters from Tobago, they interact in the harvest festivities. I mean, it's a place where it's vibrant, things are happening. With the easing of the restrictions, are you seeing people being responsible? I mean, yes, we saw the videos from the party in the waters. I mean, that probably was a one-off. It's not like we see that on a regular, but we're talking here on the mainland itself. What has been your observation in terms of taking personal responsibility within all the activities and all the fun that Tobago is able to offer?
Yeah, so people really are a little bit more relaxed, and that is why I make it my business to continually explain why we are asking people to do what we're asking them to do. So for example, we still need you to wash your hands with soap and water and use the soap, as in the lathering process, for at least 20 seconds. Why? Because the virus is encapsulated in what is called a protein ring, and the soap actually breaks up that protein ring, and once the protein ring is gone, the virus virus dies, and I use the word die, in a guarded way, but in essence, the virus dies after that protein ring is broken up.
And Dr. Faith, let me ask you really quick, as you made that observation. I've not been to Tobago for quite a while, so is that still the standard order outside most businesses? Sinks to wash hands, the sanitizers are there across the island?
Yes, that is still standard. The sinks are there, the water is there, the soap is there, the person with the temperature gun is there swiping at you.
Fantastic. Good news.
And they are there, yes. So they are there doing it. Of course, people are kind of resistant and are less, enthused about doing it, but that's why we have to encourage you to still do it. Again, the same thing with the mask. People are a little bit freer with the mask and not wearing it as much as they should because you now have more interaction and that kind of thing. But you're doing the mask thing just in case we have something, that thing that is in Hong Kong, somebody may have flown from Hong Kong and is here now, and we need to be very conscious of that. And just in case that is floating around in the air, we still need to use the mask so that we are protected when we are chatting or when we are interacting with people. Particularly if you don't feel well, if you feel like you have the flu-like symptoms and that kind of thing, stay home, stay away from people, because particularly when you have symptoms, that is the time when you are more likely to infect other people. And of course, keep getting the vaccines. The vaccines are there. We have a fresh batch of vaccines that just came in, Pfizer, particularly for the children and so forth. Keep getting the vaccines because the vaccines are going to help your body protect itself when you come into contact with the virus. So that's why we're telling people to keep doing those things because that is what is necessary at this point for us to be able to live with the virus and let it not cause too much harm to us or those who love us.
Dr. Faith, always a pleasure speaking with you. Really enjoyed this morning's conversation, and keep us posted with all the developments in the beautiful sister Isle Tobago.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's right. That's your Health, Wellness and Social Protection Secretary under the THA umbrella in Tobago for Tobago Talks. Up next, we touch base with an author. Great work happening, and we get into details regarding their book. It's the Women Wednesdays segment. Women's Wednesday. It's up next. Stick around.